Hi everybody, it's Pollo Del Mar and I am here in San Francisco at Drag Queens of Comedy, produced by Sasha Soprano at the Castro Theater. And this is a monumental occasion for me as I'm sitting with none other than Miss Michelle Visage.
Hi.
Oh my god, so not only, of course, does everybody know you from RuPaul's Drag Race, girl, I got my life to It Takes Two. My seduction, girl,
Thank
come on.
you. Yeah, San Francisco was a hotbed for seduction. So we were always here in the Bay Area, super, super grateful.
Now, you have returned recently to performing music with RuPaul on her newer albums. What was that like, kind of like going back? It's been a while since you've been in the studio.
Yeah, but you know, once you've done it, it's like riding a bicycle. I spent a lot of my career in the recording studio, and if I wasn't singing, I was doing voiceover or radio. So I never really got out of the studio, just singing again.
Now, this is a little known fact. I interviewed Michelle Visage many years ago, like 5 years ago, for something, and she was one of the most incredible interviews because, first of all, she asked me to call her at 12:30 in the morning, a.m., because it was 3:30 her time, and she was in Miami, and then we ended up being on the phone for like over an hour.
Yeah, when I drove to work, because I used to drive 62 miles each way to and from the radio station, so we talked the entire way.
It was incredible. Like, she has a killer sense of humor. No wonder you're RuPaul's best friend.
Yeah, you know what? In order to hang in the drag community and the gay community, actually, not just the drag community, the drag queens are the most rebellious and irreverent within the gay community. I can say that with authority and firm belief. But for me, in order to hang with the gays, it kind of takes a really twisted sense of humor.
Comparing this season to the seasons past, what were your perceptions of watching these girls develop?
Very entitled group of kids this year. I feel, my theory is these new kids that start on Drag Race who haven't done much drag or haven't paid their dues or had much experience, learned from watching RuPaul's Drag Race or learned from watching YouTube. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's incredible. It's a new day, it's a new generation, but the thing that they haven't done is paid their dues in a way that builds their legacy or teaches them how to be who they need to be, so they come on thinking they don't need to be told anything, what they do is fine and that's all there is, don't tell me. And that's the wrong attitude, not just for me, because I don't care, I'll judge you and tell you anyway.
Oh yes, you will.
It's really for your future, because if you're perfect at everything, you might as well quit. Bernadette Peters still takes a voice lesson every single day. You can never stop learning. And if you don't think that way, then you should just hang up your pads right now, because you can always learn.
If you even have pads.
Yeah, then there's that.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is, because you mentioned that, and one of the things that I noticed is that, like, Drag Race has changed the culture of the drag community, because so many of these young girls, like, the first time they're in drag, they act like they should be on Drag Race right then, and it makes it very difficult. As a host of a show, it makes it a little difficult to deal with some of these bitches, you know? And then when the girls are 22 and actually do make it on Drag Race.
And they're fierce, don't get me wrong, they are
Right.
fierce. But 22 and fierce is very different than 32 and fierce. 32 and fierce, now, if you do drag for those 10 years and you learn and you build it up and you become seasoned, it's a different attitude, it's a different mindset. You've gone through all of that. But just coming out and doing drag for 1 or 2 years, not really doing much in the clubs, just kind of maybe doing it at a party here and there, not taking away, or YouTube, not taking away from how fierce they are. But what it does is, I think it gives a negative connotation to the kids who are starting and they want to learn, they want to get better, and they want to improve. You should always, always be open to critiques. Even from your drag mothers to your drag sisters. Always. Don't shut it down. The day you stop learning is the day you die. Seriously.
Well, I mean, I've been doing drag 6 or 7 years, and I had Lanisha Sparks, one of your babies, come and stay with me, and she said, "Can I show you a different way to paint your face?"
She's amazing.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful girls from Drag Race ever.
Agreed.
And it changed my life. So I was like so grateful for somebody pulling me aside and saying, "Let me show you something different." I'm curious, when you watch the show, do you get a totally different impression of who the girls are than what you see when they come in?
Well, of course, because all I judge when I'm sitting there is the runway challenge.
Right.
I don't know what they're like. I don't know if they're hateful. I don't know if they're loving. I don't know if they're mama type. I don't know if they're the helper, the congeniality. I don't know anything about them. I'm there to judge a challenge. That's it. So I might look strict or harsh, whatever the word is, but I am there to help them be the best that they can be. How they fucked up that challenge, or how they conquered that challenge. And if they did fuck up, how can they make it better and make it work? So then it's up to you to go off and listen to what I say. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Trust me, I'm there for a reason.
Yeah.
If you trust what I'm saying, and you fix it, you come back, I promise that you'll see a more improved you. It's gonna do me no good. When I leave the show, I'm still coming back.
Right.
When you leave the show, you've got a world out there. Improve. Like for me, constantly I want to improve myself. I want to try new things. I want to sing different music that maybe I was scared to sing before, or challenge myself in audition, or do a piece, or do something that I thought I could never do. I don't know. I think that's what life is all about.
Now, in an interview that I did with Katya for YouTube.
Love Katya.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely loved her. Was heartbroken when she left.
It is what it is. Somebody's got to go.
Of course.
Yeah.
But she said that of all the things about the show that were terrifying, you were number one. She
Yeah.
said you were the most terrifying.
Yeah.
And I tweeted you that, and you said, then my job here is done.
Yeah, that's my job. Rue is America's sweetheart. I am there to be the tough love, harsh aunt. But everything I do comes from such a place of love. That's why I'm saying if you trust it, you'll flourish. I promise I will never lead you. I will never, ever lead you down a bad path. Ever. That's not what I'm there to do. I believe in these queens so much, and nobody respects and loves them more than I do. So what I do because I love them.
How was it watching 3 different portrayals of yourself during the What the Hell Ever Happened in Merle Ginsburg?
That was fun. That was fun. It's really interesting that who knew Merle ended up being a card table. I didn't know that she's been doing all these years. She was a card table. That's what happened. It was really fun, and Merle was a champ. Yeah.
Yeah, well, was it acrimonious between the two of you?
It was.
What the real happened?
They played it up, with all my side eyes and all my looks, and it was just one big kiki. We had a good time, and Rue was playing it up. It was for the camp. That whole episode was camp.
Of course.
And children today need to know what camp is.
I was so disappointed. I mean, not only did some of them not know what camp was, but watching the show, some of them barely knew what Shakespeare was. I'm like, how the hell did you survive? I thought that was required in high school.
Well, it is required, and even if it's not, I don't ever want to give anyone a pass and say, well, they just never studied that or they weren't in that class. For me, the art of drag began in Shakespeare theater.
Hello.
So, guys, come on, it doesn't take much to Google the art of drag, the history of drag, the history of gay rights, Stonewall. Educate yourself. Know why it's so easy to be free and be out of the closet. It's just so important and so simple.
It really
I'm
is.
a straight woman, and I can know more than these gay children do. It's not the way it should be.
Well, that's because you should find yourself a significant amount of time on Grindr. What is with
I don't
you and
learn
Grindr?
history. I don't learn gay history on Grindr. No.
What do you learn on Grindr?
I learn lots of things about length and girth. Yeah.
I'm going out on a limb here. I don't think you had to go out on Grindr to learn
No,
about
I
those things.
didn't. But I love Scruff and I love Grindr, and I'm on Jacked as well. For me, it's a great thing to get all these messages saying, girl, why are you on here? Or, girl, want to see my dick? Or, girl, I love you. I love what you do. Thank you for what you do. And it's just more access for me to the gays. Like, I want to do what Bette Midler did in the bathhouses, only these days.
On the mobile bathhouse.
That's the way I have to do it, because I think if I showed up at a bathhouse, motherfuckers would be throwing shit at me, going, get away! Get out of here!
No, it's funny because Alaska, in an interview we did a long time ago, told me that she goes on there not to hook up, which I'm assuming you don't either. She's married.
No, I don't hook up yet. I've been married for 18 years.
So, but she said she loves it because she gets all kinds of dirty pics and
Yeah.
she just absorbs the love.
Well, I get lots of drag pictures, and I was saying at the Battle of the Seasons tour, that is me on there, but I don't want your pictures of your drag. I love you, but I don't want to judge your drag on Grindr. Send me pictures of your dick, and I'll judge your dick.
Well, I will tell you this, I've never been on Drag Race, as you well know, but it got to the point when I go on Grindr that people would recognize me locally, and oddly, if I go out to the middle of nowhere, they especially recognize me. So I just started using it as a promotional opportunity. I have a link to my Instagram. Like my pictures on Instagram.
I love that. I mean, we got everything. There's Scruff, there's Grindr, there's Snapchat. I did get kicked off Growler.
Why?
I don't know. They kicked me off.
Maybe
I was
you
on
weren't
for
hearing enough.
an hour. I tried.
She's got a gorgeous shimmer on her breasts.
Thank you.
Can you see that? Look at her boobs.
Mac.
So, in addition, you gave up your life in radio, kind of, to come to do how many seasons of it?
So I started on season 3. We're about to start filming season 8. So this will be my 5th season. I am honored and lucky. I did give up radio because 17 years was enough.
That's
and
a long time.
I was never going to get the breaks that the Howard Stern got. First of all, he's a legend, so I can't be compared to him. Let's say the breaks that like Elvis Duran gets or Ryan Seacrest. Women don't have that. It's a male-driven
Or even Wendy
career.
Williams.
Wendy's my radio mentor. She was always who I modeled my radio career after, and I did incredible. And I'm happy with my time there. So I was okay walking away. I can always go back. I'm really good at it. But Ru and I have a podcast now.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. It's like super popular.
Yeah.
Wendy Ho told me that she went on your podcast not that long ago, and she was floored that the two of you knew who she is.
Yeah. Of course we know who Wendy.
Hello.
We love it because Ru and I started in radio together. Ru left and I stayed on. And radio is something that I've always loved, still love to do. And podcast is a way for me to get my radio juices out.
Get those juices out.
Yeah, let the poison out.
Oh. So, other than their podcast and your upcoming filming, do you have big projects that are coming up for you?
My first book comes out November 1st.
Shut up! Tell me more.
It's called The Diva Rules. It's part memoir, part self-help, but all things fabulous. It's really about, it's not an autobiography, but it's about each chapter is my story and each chapter has the T at the end and of the moral, so you can pick it up. Any chapter you can open it and get something fulfilling. It's how every time I tried to do something and I failed, but how I picked myself up and carried on.
My experience is that it's great to succeed, but you usually grow a lot more by not succeeding.
Well, that's what paying dues is all about.
Right.
And often in life, we start out, when we get out of school or university, wherever it is, with stars in our eyes, and we want to do something in life. This is what we want to do. But instead, we get married, we have children, we start a career, and you know what happens? We forget our dreams, we chase the dollar just to pay the rent, just to feed ourselves, and we forget what we were here, what we wanted to do. So it's about nurturing your inner diva, because we've all got an inner diva, and you don't want to let your inner diva starve, and most of us do let it starve.
You know, one of the things I love so much about following you on social media is, like, we don't get to see Michelle Visage, the mother, and you are, like, such a devoted, proud mother of 2 beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
So, what has it been like kind of exposing your children to the world through social media?
I did it slowly because my oldest is 15 and she's pretty tough. She's tough like I am, and I am just like I am of the queens. These are my flesh and blood, so very protective. So if somebody, they're very open with me. If somebody half steps to my kid, they're done. Block, delete, report it. They're children, and I have to protect my children. Yes, it's a free world. Yes, it's social media. Yes, you're open to that stuff. Nobody's gonna fuck with my children, ever.
And that's how you really seem to approach, no matter whether they were a season favorite for you or not, the girls on Drag Race too. They're your girls.
They are, and every girl is my girl. They're family to me. They're Ru's children as well, and for me, I protect them, and I'm very protective of them. Yeah, nobody's gonna talk shit about my girls. And nobody's going to talk shit about Ru either. It's not going to happen on my dime.
How did you and Ru meet?
We met in the nightclubs in the late 80s. I graduated high school in 86 and moved to New York City. And I didn't have any friends. When I moved there, my mother said, you want to be on Broadway, you want to be a star, you need to go out. So she got me a fake ID. And I started...
Really?
Yeah, I never drank a day in my life.
Oh my God.
No, I don't drink. So my mother knew it. So she sent me out to the clubs to network and meet people. And... that's how it started. I got hired by Suzanne Barge to work with her at her nightclubs, and that's where I first saw Ru, and it was like, when you see Ru, you see Ru.
Yeah.
And I just met him then, and our paths would cross like every other week at Suzanne's party. And then when Supermodel came out, I had a song on the Bodyguard soundtrack, and we ended up doing appearances together. We saw each other, and that's kind of where it all started. In '96, they put us together as a fluke for Fashion Week on the radio. And that's how the working relationship began in '96.
And a love affair.
A love affair indeed.
Yeah, I mean, you two are like...
We're Rhoda and Mary. I'm Rhoda.
I was gonna say, yeah, the little like, yeah,
I'm Rhoda.
I can see it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, everybody. I'm Pollo Del Mar. Michelle, this has been an absolute, not even Michelle, Mama Visage.
Aww,
It's been a pleasure. Follow her on all of her social media. Say hi to her on Grindr and Scruff and Jacked, and unfortunately not Growler.
No, they don't want me. I'm not burying them.
You're very enough for me.
Thank you, Pollo.
Bear. She puts the bear in
Exactly.
there.
Just a different kind of bear.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.